So today it is true crime with just Julie. The boys could not be here, which you know, I am more than enough, as we know. But it's always nice to have them, but they have some things going on, so definitely keep them in your thoughts. But frankly, true crime with Judge Julie is going to be pretty good. So, we have a ton of updates, like tons, because we didn't cover that many cases last week, and the crimers have been criming out here, and so we have just like an entire full show of today. So even though we weren't able to do the tailgate update, we are doing the true crime segment because we just have way too much to not film this week. So here we go. Some dangerous driving. A lot of that. So we're gonna break everything up by crimes categories today because there's just too much to try to do it a different way. So anyway, we got Richard Sherman here. Y'all heard about that, right? He was arrested Saturday, February 24th on suspicion of drunk driving. Officers noted the odor of intoxicants when they pulled him over, and his eyes were bloodshot and watery, so not good signs. And he was going 79 miles per hour in a 60 mile per hour zone on an interstate. Like, call me guilty. Can't say how many times I've done that in Washington, but you know. So the bond was set for $5K on Monday, February 26th. And unfortunately, this is the second DUI incident he's had. The first one occurred in June of 2021. Y'all remember that one with his wife and all that shenanigans. So anyways, he is one away from being a Jackson Mahomes Sr., something none of us need. So it'll be interesting to see if this affects his career as a broadcaster, and hopefully it doesn't. And also, hopefully, he can get the help that he clearly needs because this is awful for everyone, and where Richard Sherman stands here. So there we go. So for Rajon Rando here, we've been talking about his case a little bit, but we found out that he was going over 100 miles per hour weaving on a Kentucky interstate. What is going on out here? After being pulled over, the officer smelled Schmeed and searched his car, and he found the Mary Jane, drug paraphernalia, and a firearm. And Rondo and his lawyer are attempting to have the firearm charge dropped due to the Second Amendment. This is despite the fact that he lost the privilege to own a firearm because he pulled one on his former partner and the mother of his children in 2022, and she filed an emergency protection order. So that's scary, and a pretty valid reason for him to not have one, but I don't know how long those protection orders last, how long someone is not allowed to have a firearm after something like that, and so we will get a little bit more clarity on what that looks like and where his charges go. So Roderick Teamer here. Yeah, better late than never. We kind of closed case late, but Teamer was arrested in November, the day before a game, while driving while high, going 91 in a 65 mile per hour zone. He actually took and failed the sobriety test, and his eyes were like barely open in the mugshot. They were like tiny little slits. So Antonio Pierce caught him by the following Monday, and that's after 3 years of being on the team. It's really unfortunate. This Las Vegas Raider is no longer a Raider, and on his social media it still says that. So hopefully he's okay and getting the help that he needs. So we got a little bit more here. Tim McKyer, the former NFL player and three-time Super Bowl champ, was arrested on February 19th after causing a 6-vehicle crash, y'all, in a parking garage. So apparently on his way out, he like hit a bunch of other cars, and then he just dipped. So the police caught him, and they released him on $1,250 bond. and he's due back in court on Monday, March 4th, the day that this is being filmed. So there we go. 6 crimes. I just don't know. Um, Marshawn Lynch. Last week, he took a plea deal for his 2022 DUI in Vegas. Y'all remember that one? He must complete DUI school, do an alcohol evaluation, complete a victim impact panel, do 2 hours of community service, and stay out of trouble for a year. You know, I had a ticket once, and like it would get completely wiped away from my record, like if my driving record, if I did a plea situation kind of thing where like if I didn't get another ticket for a year, just drop off. And I was like, nah, I absolutely do not want that, because how do I know something isn't going to happen in 6, 7 months? Not that I'm an irresponsible driver for the most part, but like in theory, anything could happen. What if it's something super minor, like you run a red light on accident or turn right without on a red without fully stop? You know, like, you don't need those kind of problems, so I hope all the best for him. But, this is when he was found asleep behind the wheel in Vegas on the Strip in 2022, and his blood alcohol level is twice the legal limit. I mean, at least he was just sleeping and not driving, but, you know, I think it's also about the intent, and if you're in your car and probably have the keys out and everything, it doesn't look good, so. The throwing of hands. We got DeJounte Murray here. This is crazy. This is more of a verbal throwing of hands, I guess you could say, on Tony Roberts' side. So he was not having any disrespect from these whippersnappers last week, okay? Because Murray is approached by Roberts in the fourth quarter of the Atlanta Hawks Brooklyn Nets game on last Saturday during a timeout. The two were in conversation, or at least Tony was talking, but Murray wasn't saying anything, and he actually waved Tony away. And Roberts was not having it. He threw a technical foul on him. Big because as DeJounte tweeted that there was nothing to talk about. So he just was like, move along, because he had nothing to say, which it's disrespectful, but like a technical foul though. Anyway, the NBA like rescinded the foul on Sunday. So that's like one of the most crazy fouls lately for something that didn't happen. It's like what you didn't do is what got you the foul, but um yeah, Tony Roberts probably needs to get a little bit of a thicker skin. But anyway, so Cam Newton, um I wrote a whole uh article about him called Cam Newton Against the World. You can find it on my the fork ball under my profile, my writing profile. Um so I went into really big detail there about like every single thing that happened. Um yeah, and I published it on January 27th. He did release a statement regarding the incident, and he refers to trash talking on all sides with his former employees. He says everybody did that. He didn't start the physical element of the fight, but he isn't proud of the whole thing, saying, I'm disappointed in myself for letting it escalate to what it did, and that's what I'm apologetic to. The truth of the matter is this, me being in my position, I should have never put myself in that position. That's just the truth. That shit could have gotten ugly for real. Then he also mentioned that he wants young athletes to be better than him and maintain control over their feelings. Uh, you know, do what someone says, not what they do. Um, yeah, and so he mentioned that it could have escalated, as in there could have been like weapons involved and it could have hurt people. And so like I think that is really sensitive, because in this day and age, like things do have a way of escalating really quickly. So I appreciate his like acknowledgement of that. And it seems like kind of a power play still, like against those two men, like, look, I'm better than this, y'all, yeah, but like I am. So like I thought it was funny. And the fact that his fedora never moved during the entire fight, like epic. But go ahead and look at my article if you want the whole scoop on it. Um Isaiah Stewart here He spoke to the media about his little incident with Drew Eubanks outside of the stadium in Las Vegas a couple weeks back, saying, I apologize to my teammates and my coaches just because we've been through a lot this season, and I don't mean to bring nothing up on them. I also appreciate them having my back. They let me know that they have my back through tough and through great things. And referring to the incident and his ankle injury that had him out for a couple weeks, he said, I'm glad to move past that and put that behind me. I appreciate the fans in the city for sticking with me. I am ready to just go back out here, compete, and win games. Absolutely. We're ready for that too, Isaiah. We're ready for that too. Believe me on that. All right, so we got some illegal substance nonsense happening here, unfortunately. So Damon Arnett, recent reports, like a week ago, said that Arnett was allegedly arrested on January 6th. We're just finding out about it for possession of meth with an E and unlawful carrying of a firearm. His attorneys publicly denied it last week. They claim he was unable to provide a prescription for the lawful medication that he had. So then they arrested him. So they're not denying that he was arrested or the firearm element, but they are saying it's not meth with an E. They're saying it was a prescription drug, and it's iffy at best, but we'll follow that. Just because, like, how would they mess that up? What else comes in a goodie powder? Like, what else comes in a all right. Adam Ruzicka here. The Arizona Coyotes are not playing games, as we'll discuss. After only a month, they terminated Adam on Saturday, February 24th, after he posted a social media videos or a social media video of him surfaced with white powder resembling coke, probably not a prescription, and a credit card on a counter. And that was it. Boom, gone. Hockey Slovakia wrote a statement also condemning Rizika's behavior, and he will not be in the invite list for their world championship. So there was that. I guess this has been an issue before in the NHL with these kind of videos. And like what usually happens to players afterwards. I guess they're being proactive, and hopefully Adam gets the help that he needs. Workplace disagreements. So Alex Galchenyuk here got a red slip along with Adam. So his contract was waived by the Coyotes this past Thursday, the thing that he was celebrating when he got super blackout drunk and then screamed at the cops with the video that got released in November of him going off on the cops. We covered that, but that whole incident like got him the axe. So I guess the Coyotes were just cleaning up because they got rid of both of them, Adam and Alex, in quick order. And Corey Perry here, the now Edmonton Oiler, has a grievance with the Chicago pending but not filed as of the beginning of February. But he has 60 days to file it. So Corey is saying that Chicago did not have the proper grounds to terminate his contract. So he's dying on that hill, which seems odd. So we'll see if he actually does file and gets on him for, I mean, he is 38 and he did do like some shenanigans we've discussed before, but I mean, I guess an argument can be made. I'd probably just move on with the Oilers, but you know, we'll keep an eye. So some PDF files, y'all know what that means. So Wander Franco here, he's not helping himself out at all. Not that I want him to. I want him to go away forever, but like he just keeps making things worse because he refused to pay one of his lawyers who already did the work. And he otherwise breached the contract with one of his defense lawyers. So he like didn't pay him and breached the contract. We're not clear how. We probably don't even have access to a contract because it's like patient lawyer privilege. But anyway, and in result, this is wild to me. His bank accounts have been frozen by DR authorities. So frozen. Like, that is something, like, if you don't pay up, we're gonna freeze your accounts. Like, that's pretty serious. So anyway, he's dealing with frozen accounts, uh, not paying attorneys, and he has to report to the court every month during the investigation. So he has like these regular check-ins with the judge, um, which is interesting. So Josh Giddy here. So you can miss me with his interview on how hard things were last month. Well, he did an interview last month regarding how things have been hard last year. And I'm like, you were an adult allegedly talking to a child. So, like, to me, you're a shit human and you deserve hard time, but not hard time. You know what I'm trying to say. Um, like, woe is me, bruh. What do you think she's feeling? She probably don't even know because she's still a child. Anyway, I don't have time. So, someone created a fake social media account, pretended to be him, and then he interacted with a child that he allegedly was speaking to before. So there, it's looking like police have maybe let things go because the charges were dropped. The investigation was dropped. There we go. But fans have not forgotten it, and they are harsh, and I love it. All right, so tons of DV per the usual. Milan Lucic here. His charges have been dropped after his wife refused to testify, evoking her marital privilege, because that's the hill she wants to die on. The judge did not allow her 911 call to be admitted as evidence. So the prosecution is either going to use her testimony or the 911 call or both, but she won't testify, and the judge said you can't use her 911 call, so they had to abandon the charges. So I'm sure we'll be hearing about him again soon for a new one. Anyways, Chad Wheeler, this tool bag over here that used to be a Seattle Seahawk and apparently a New York Giant, was sentenced to 81 months for almost murdering his ex-girlfriend. So that's just under 7 years. I did the big maths before. And his victim is like thrilled to bits about this, and she made a statement saying it's very unheard of that a black woman was able to get justice from a white NFL player. Meaning, a man in status, a white man in status, basically, which like historically is like 1,000% true. But anyway, she also said this sends a message to other men in power that they will be held accountable too. And the church said, "Amen." Okay, mic drop. So he can go rot away in prison. The face that he made when he got the charge, like, don't even get me started. So Julio Urias here, he got a 20-game suspension for the domestic battery case. No felony charges, but maybe misdemeanor charges. But the MLB did make a final call to give him the 20-game suspension. Then we got this read over here. Brian Forbes, he's arrested for the second time in a year for family V 3 weeks ago. So I guess that's FV. Anyway, weeks after his diversion program ended for the DVFV charge that he had this in one calendar year. Anyway, he got 2 charges for DVFE in a year, and the second charge came in just weeks after his first charge's diversion program ended. So he was like really close to that blowing up. He's facing a $7,500 bond. And I'm like, can we not do more when they make a lot of money? But anyways, many teams, he got waived by his team. So many of the teams, including the Nuggets, are considering signing Forbes despite his recurring habit. So that shows a total lack of integrity. But anyways, that's the things that we encounter in this section. Okay, so we got some murders going on here, some M's. Anthony A.J. Armstrong Jr. It's been a minute since we've heard him, but he had an exclusive interview with KPRC2. Armstrong remains calm, collected, and optimistic in prison. He was shocked when he was found guilty, and he still proclaims his innocence. He said he still loves his mentally ill brother Josh, who's doing much better according to him, which is great because we all Josh stands here. Um, and he still loves him despite throwing him under the bus in trial, saying it was his fault, or at least saying it could have been. Um, so that's some family loyalty we like. He discussed his prison job in the kitchen. He now no longer has to be alone 23 hours a day in a cell. He has a roomie now, and his family, like multiple members of his family, still vouches for his freedom. So, cool. Chance Comanche here. I just wrote a detailed article because sometimes with the different updates, it can be kind of hard to see the entire case as a whole since we kind of cover it as it happens. So I did an entire article on him. I just published it on March 3rd. It's called the Professional Basketball Player to Murderer. The choices of Chance Comanche, and that is on the forkball. And so if you want to get the full deets for me, there you go. Despite confessing to the M, the court case must move on. Now Nevada taxpayers have been called upon to help cover attorney's fees since Camacho used all of his and his family's money on counsel already. He told the judge that he needs funds to aid in his defense. It seems not that he's requesting a public defender, but that he is requesting public funds for a personal attorney, which I never heard of. And maybe that's like a Nevada thing. I really don't know, but it's odd. It is odd. Oh, and the Casey parade shootings. Tragic. Lisa Lopez Galvin, the lone victim who passed away from this crime. Thank goodness it was just one, but awful that it happened at all. She was laid to rest on Saturday, February 24th. Hundreds of individuals attended her funeral mass, which is great. We love to see the support. Rest in peace, Miss Lopez Galvin. Now you can be laid to rest in your favorite player's jersey that he donated, which was so sweet. Thank you, Butker. When you miss a kick, I will never shout at you ever again. So rumor is it that Missouri's standard ground law might apply to the man who initiated the gunfire at the parade because he felt threatened. That would be an intriguing move. A man at the parade was mistaken as the infamous Sohail Omar. I cannot read. Sohail Omar, who doesn't exist. But he was mistaken by him anyway, by the media. So if you don't know about the whole Sohail Omar situation, like Google it. It's well worth your time. So yeah, Sohail was actually a Kansas resident Denton Loudermill. He was handcuffed but later released without charges and was not actually involved in the shooting at all. So that's a little scandal. Just Google it. Anyway, one of the men arrested for the shooting, Lindell Mays, missed court last Thursday due to being in the hospital. Probably a valid reason. It's unclear why he was readmitted after being in there for a long time because he got shot 9 times. He's due back in court on Monday, the day of filming today, March 4th. And this is kind of like a really sweet moment. So a nurse at the scene of the shooting actually ran up to Mays and gave him medical assistance after seeing him bleeding on the ground. She didn't know he was a suspect. Of course, he had been shot the 9 times, and she used her sweatshirt to help stop some of the bleeding from the bullet wounds she could see. When the angel, that's my name for her, anyway, did find out, she said she didn't care which side of the log he was on. She was actually started as a correctional nurse, so she's clearly a true angel. And she wishes that no one, including him, had been a victim of gun violence that day. And she even followed up with May's sister regarding his condition. And that was before she knew he was charged. but I have a feeling she would have done it anyway. So we love when people act right because it doesn't happen that often. As discussed in our next section here with family drama, this is a lot. Okay. Like Kyle Walker, one of the most famous infidelity people. If you see my cat's tail, there it is. She's flirting pretty heavily with me right now. So anyways, um yeah, so Walker might be out of the doghouse with his wife, Annie Kilner, because she was seen attending one of his games last Sunday with their 3 children. This is on the heels of Kyle Walker hiring lawyers to end this, like, I'm paraphrasing here, the smear campaign on his mistress, Lauren Goodman. The lawyers can't keep Lauren out of the limelight though when she puts herself there because she had an exclusive on Daily Mail where she puts the blame right exactly where it belongs on Kyle, which like totally agree because he's the one who had. Yeah, I mean we all know this. It's not the ladies. And a facepalm moment. Rumor has it that she's going to be on a reality TV show with other soccer player side chicks where they talk about being a side chick. Maybe Pick Me, Paolo Salino will join in. She said just 2% of the Premier League is faithful. It's just basically how men are, the model said. Betrayal is just life. And she has been a proud side chick to multiple footballers as well. She allegedly didn't know they had a partner when they got together, but she also stayed with them when she found out and still felt like her relationship was important. Even though she was the side chick. Send this woman some Russell Wilson's brother, and some self-esteem, okay? Like Lauren Goodman and Paolo Salino, because if really if you think that's the best you can get, we really need to talk. Ginger Spice, as a 90s baby, I think we all know about Ginger Spice and how amazing she is. She got done dirty by her Formula One husband, Christian Horner, if you haven't heard about it yet. Ginger is publicly standing by her man, who may or may not have been texting a certain kind of actual content, his female colleague on WhatsApp. He denied it, and Formula One cleared him internally, but that hasn't stopped the rumor mill from going. And Max Verstappen's dad wants a potential cheater kicked off the Red Bull team. They're saying like he's bringing too much controversy. He gotta go. The texting of adult themes messages came on a tail of Horner being investigated by HR. So he had already had an HR case when the text came out, because a female subordinate accused him of coercive behavior against her. So that's 2 things back to back. Ginger Spice is actually being roasted due to her girl power message of the 90s. And regardless of if that's true or not, how on earth did her husband's potential like infidelity or whatever come back on her? Like, how do we always find a way to blame the female in this entire situation? Like Lauren Goodman said, can we leave the responsibility where it's actually at, which is not with the women? Okay, Jackson Mahomes. And also, you have a lot of ideals when you're young, okay? And that's not to say that those are bad ideals or that she's even changed them. But life happens. And that's not to say that she's gonna accept it. Maybe she's still coming to terms. Maybe she hasn't seen all the evidence yet. Maybe what she has seen hasn't alarmed her, but it's like that was like over 30 years ago. Like, give this woman a break. Anyway, Jackson Mahomes. Brittany Snub Jackson appearing to shake it off. Yeah, that's the only singing I'll ever do on the show. When he was not allowed to enter into the roped off VIP area at a Super Bowl party / Future concert, the rapper Future? Is it because Jackson hung out with Travis Kelce's ex, Kayla Nicole, the day before? Is it a secret? Is Jackson Holmes a not so secret Russell Wilson fan? Either way, Brittany hit him with that shrug and kept going, and he got ignored. So, little trouble in paradise, maybe. But if you haven't seen the video of Brittany shrugging at him, you gotta see it. It was really good. Alright, so Blake here got banned from selling Pokemon cards, but he can have somebody else auction them, so that makes sense. The Pokemon Illustrator, so he had a Pokemon Illustrator card, and it's one of the rarest cards ever. There's only 4 ever made. And so, he auctioned this thing, and the 1998 Illustrated Pikachu card netted him $672,000. So I guess he can retire now. Yammer Yager and Drake, a combo you would never expect, likely, ever. Drake forgot that Yager here owns Pittsburgh. Allegedly, the rapper got in his feelings because Yammer Yager was in the city last month to celebrate his jersey being retired, and Drake was also there for a concert. Yammer Yager took the nicest rooms in Drake's preferred hotel, and several sources indicate that the rapper was miffed. But probably not too much, because based on an SNL skit, it appears that the Canadian, which we know Canadians appreciate hockey most of the time, right? He made a joke that indicated that he's a fan of Yammer Yager, like the rest of us. I mean, love him or hate him, but he has a strong, strong legacy. So anyway, so he can only be so annoyed, but like, how ironic. More drama. We got this MLB pants situation that we were discussing last week. I'm going to reemphasize that I think it's very funny that we are up in arms about men having see-through pants when we have girls with shorts that are smaller than a stamp, a postal stamp, like dancing around. But anyway, it's ironic, but we're just gonna keep it moving. While the US is dealing with a paint shortage, predominantly the pink color, which can at least partially be attributed to the Barbie movie, which is just ironic. The MLB is dealing with a pants one. The see-through pants, as you can see there on the side, were debuted a few weeks ago and had people clutching their pearls, okay? As we all saw, everything every baseball player had everywhere. I'm gonna go as far as to say these pants were a little lewd, okay? It won't work well for the teams, of course, and that's already on the tail end of an already existing pants shortage. One of the more ironic shortages that we've had in some time. And to further demonstrate the already existing pants shortage, we'll discuss the Cincinnati Reds, who already had to wear the previous season pants, or 2023 season pants, during the spring training in 2024, which is just, those were last season, okay? But I get it, because they probably have a lot of wear and tear. So you all need to get your bleach out or something. So the question is, do you want old pants or see-through pants? You get one or the other. So waste not, want not. It's not clear why and how the shortage came to be, but we do know players will likely hoard pants, like we all did paper towels and toilet paper in 2020. So the MLB pants shortage, everyone. So the Spygate scandal. No reason that Tom Brady's photo is up there, none at all. Things are getting real with the Spygate scandal after Apple TV docuseries The Dynasty rehashed the deets in their last few weeks. The former coaches, including Belichick and even Robert Kraft, the owner, get interviewed, bringing up old dirt. Is anyone else going to open up about the scandal? Have you heard everything we'll ever know? We'll keep you updated on that, but I can't imagine Bill getting loose-lipped about literally anything ever. So, but definitely check in on that show, Apple TV docuseries The Dynasty, because they are getting all the dirts. Love that. We got some lawsuits going on here. Antonio Brown, always a mainstay on our show. He lost a lawsuit against a high-profile jeweler who claimed that he borrowed some of the man's epic jewelry and never returned it. I mean, he has some really cool jewelry. He had these finger pieces that was like a thimble, but it goes longer. Um, yeah, it was really interesting. Um, so he loaned him the finger pieces, a chain, and a ring. Um, Brown never even responded to the lawsuit, so the judge ordered in the jeweler's favor, and so Brown has to pay 1 mil. And the reason he didn't respond is because he's too busy on the internet roasting Kenny Pickett with a photo of Nicki Minaj's backside, or congratulating Caitlin Clark with a Mel Gibson meme, and or questioning Shannon Sharp's sexuality once again on Twitter. So priorities, people, priorities. Jerry Jones, his feet are on the fire because the judge has finally ordered him to provide his DNA for a paternity test after putting it off for like 2 years. Is he or is he not the father of the 27-year-old woman who has come forward for 2 years saying that he is? Jones is in the hot seat and we're ready to see it. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am. Anyway, Tyreek Hill. My bad, y'all. Y'all probably heard about this one. So the OF model and social media influencer Sophie Hall. I'm just gonna put a note here. Everybody leads with the fact that she's a plus size influencer. Like somehow that puts her in a different category than a regular influencer. Like, why are we leading with plus size? Why is her size the first thing that comes up when we're discussing the fact that she's an influencer? Why does it even matter? Anyway, claims Hill broke her leg. She signed her son up for Hill's summer football camp last year with her 10-year-old son. At the camp, Sophie Hall was invited by Hill to come to her mansion. So she did on June 28th. So Hull and Hill did a football drill, and she owned him basically, and people were laughing because well, Tyreek got owned, which causes Tyreek's tiny little man ego to be bruised. Cue the tiniest violin ever. And so he charged at her. Apparently, Hill crushed her with a force great enough to fracture her right leg. It's not clear if that was on a second, like, drill, or if he just, like, charged her. I couldn't quite tell the difference, but either way, like, terrifying. And one is definitely worse than the other if he, like, unprovoked, like, charged at her, or were they, like, doing another drill. I don't know, but either way, scary. So, yeah, she fractured her right leg. And so his lawyers are saying she just didn't want to pay up on the bills and she wanted him to do it, so she sued him. But it's hard to say. We'll see. Tyreek Hill got owned by a woman and can't handle it. So, yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, so second chances. Adam Pac-Man Jones. We talked about it before, how he's been like a surrogate dad to his former teammate Chris Henry's kids, which is just the sweetest thing. After Chris Henry passed away suddenly. So Adam Jones was actually seen taking out Chris Henry Jr. to colleges last month, even though Chris Henry Jr. is only 14. And but anyway, they're already doing the tours, and the 14-year-old has already received a scholarship offer from Ohio State. So in a way, that's sweet because it's like people are supporting him and ready to help pay for his college because of some of his life experiences. Maybe, it takes the burden off of other people, I guess, since, his father unfortunately passed away and can't help with that, I guess. But it seems like a lot of pressure to a kid who's in like 9th grade. But anyway, it was sweet that Adam Jones was taking the time to take him on a college tour. Ryan Rollins, he's been signed by the Milwaukee Bucks 2 weeks ago. He has a second chance now. And hopefully it's far away from a target. Anyway, the Jackie Robinson statue theft, we've been covering that. And the original shoes that got left, which anyway, they are getting sent off. They have a second chance or opportunity to bless more people because the shoes are heading to the NLBM. That first word I'm not gonna say because it feels gross and I probably shouldn't. So just Google it if you don't know what that is. To be displayed in the museum. So that is really cool. They're gonna have a very cool memento. And of course they are replacing the statue with a new one. The kids were really broken up about losing the statue, so that's really sweet. And here we are with that. Our actual assaults. There's a lot. The Canadian junior hockey team 5 have decided to have jury trial, and the case will be back in court at the end of April. So we're going to trial, y'all. Brad Alrich is sicker than I even knew, which didn't know that was possible, but here we are. In addition to the charges he had related to the time he was coaching with the Chicago Blackhawks, you know, those lawsuits have been coming out. He had another case that resulted in jail time. After leaving the Blackhawks, Brad was a volunteer coach at a Michigan high school. He SA'd a 16-year-old male student at that student teammate's home. So one of his other students' home, which seems like such a violation of boundaries, which is clearly already in his MO, but anyway. And so he faced 270 days in jail and 5 years of probation in 2013 for that. And there are also allegations of SA when he was coaching at Miami University in Ohio. No criminal charges have been filed yet or anything like that, but yet, because you can come forward, y'all. So anyway, he's totally disgusting and gross and worse than I ever thought. And now I need to take another shower. Okay, Luis Rubiales, Jenny Hermoso, the woman he forcibly kissed, has spoken out after, well, for the first time, really. And it was really nice. She said, "For me, it's very important to play in another final, to continue here. I feel good. Football continues to give me the life I need." And she also expressed that she continues to enjoy playing the sport and playing with her team, and we love to see it. Nobody has the right to take someone else's joy away for something that they love. That's legal, Brad. And it's great to see that she is maintaining that power, and Lewis can't take that from her, and we are all in your corner, girl. Okay, Dwight Howard. Okay, there's a lot. There's a lot going on here. So he had a defamation suit against a woman who said he was bisexual. He was not happy about that. However, and he's currently being sued. So he got sued, and then no, the woman said that he was bisexual, so he sued her for defamation, and that got dropped. But he's currently being sued by a man for sexually coercing him. That isn't getting dropped. So that's a lot going on. We won't even talk about homophobia in the sports world that keeps people from being able to express who they are and may lead to a lot of anxiety associated with being associated with the LGBTQ plus community. We won't touch that today, but his like fear of that title is sort of understandable. You can see what happened to Nassib after he told everyone he hasn't been on a field since. So anyway, but that certainly doesn't make it okay for him to possibly have sexually coerced someone. So we're not, but there's just a lot happening here. And he recently signed with a Puerto Rican team. So he's continuing his basketball career outside of the States. Rashad Bird, he's a former NFL player and actor. You've probably seen him in one or both of those settings. was sentenced 90 years to life on March 2nd in California, of all places. So that's when you know, because they are real lenient with some things, as we've seen. Because he's a chronic assayer. The LA Police Department has been investigating an SA case dating back to 2019, one that he was arrested for in 2020, for multiple acts in LA and Santa Clara, although they only really referred to like one incident in LA, but then they also mentioned there was like more than one. So we don't have like total clarity on all of how many there are, but there has to be a lot. Anyway, this is on top of already being arrested in other states for SA in 2005 and 2010. The 39-year-old will never see the light of day again. And Detective Brown of the LAPD said efforts were made to find all of his victims. But if you have any further information, call her at 213-486-6840 or email her at rhdtipline@lapd.online. And that is really important because although they're trying to find everyone, someone who's a career assayer doesn't just have a few victims. Often there's a lot because they don't really stop. And so if you know of anything, let's hold this man fully accountable. All right. So we're finishing out with everybody else. Brett Favre, this is crazy. There is controversy in Mississippi. So the state auditor was he attempted to like litigate Brett Favre for like not paying the money that he stole from welfare recipients in the poorest state in the United States. So the attorney general, attorney general sued the auditor because it's the attorney general's job to sue people to recover improperly spent money, not the auditors. And of note that attorney general has not yet sued Favre either. So the auditor attempted to sue Favre, got sued by the AG because it's AG's job to sue Favre, and Favre hasn't been forced to pay up yet. So that's how that works in Mississippi. Ioma Uwazurike. No, Uwazurike. Thank you. Ioma Uwazurike. His charges have been dropped. Yay. For betting. If y'all remember that, we discussed him several times. He still remains suspended by the NFL. However, the charges were just dropped, and he can petition for reinstatement again in July. So, like, fingers crossed. All charges against the ex-Iowa State football players and one wrestler have been dropped because of the way that the evidence was gathered. Apparently, it was like, you know, the point of I think they call it the fruit of the poisonous tree, where if you like mess up, if the police or the investigators mess up one part, like all the resulting information isn't good anymore. Like, for example, if you got a confession but it was coerced, or you didn't give somebody like tell them the rights ahead of time, then like anything that happens afterwards doesn't matter. So I think it was something like that, where it was all bad because how they did it was bad, the method. So anyway, the charges have been dropped, except, and this is really something, except for the people who took plea deals, they still have to like face the consequences. Like their charges don't get dropped just because the case did. So that's something. And then this is really interesting. In case you are wondering, like, soccer is like in the 1800s, the Dark Ages, with like having video review of like plays. They prefer the old-fashioned way with just people's eyeballs. I think they're probably the only sport ever who still feels that way, but there is that Real Madrid audio leak scandal earlier this year, because the VAR of a game, video assistant referee, between Real Madrid and Almira was leaked. So the Spain's Technical Committee of Referees is investigating. So basically, they heard the deliberations between referees over calls. And I was like, why is that a big deal? But then I guess like it is true in most sports that like when they deliberate, you can see them, but you don't hear them. So I'll give them that, I guess. But that's like one of like a billion VAR scandals for soccer, and we will be talking about that more because there's nothing more I love than a good VAR scandal. So we are now caught up on a lot. Congrats to us. So when we come in next week, we will have all the details when the boys come, and we won't have to deal with their shenanigans when we cover a lot of amount of material. So we're thrilled about that. Hope everybody has a great week, and we cannot wait to present more information to you next week. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things. We love to hear your input. Let me know what you like hearing about. Is there things you're like, oh god, this again? Is there like some cases they're like, I want all the juice? Like, just, let us know. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week.